We're back on Network 125. I'm Dick Woelfle. Right next to me is Eliot Bernstein, an inventor, and he's going to talk a little bit about how Microsoft became involved. Eliot?
Well, Dick, then along came Microsoft, Windows, and the hours of attempting to get non-standardized computers to network on a variety of programs was solved. Windows made a universal protocol for the networks to interface. And corresponding with that advancement at that time was the size of the hard drives increased exponentially. And once the networking problems were solved, the groundwork for the internet was basically laid, and the internet was turned on soon thereafter for the general public. At first, the internet was accessible only over telephone lines and then on cable pipes. But even on the high bandwidth, the internet was severely limited on bandwidth, and was limited, therefore, to text and banner ads, and there were really no graphics other than some small GIFs and JPEGs. Yet, with these advancements, Dick, I again dreamed that a thought journal would be possible. Now using the internet instead of fax machines to bring people together to solve world problems facing the kids. And remember, Dick, all of this was prior to the internet as you know it today, although the internet now resembles exactly the thought journal I dreamed of over 25 years ago. In fact, the internet at first, due to bandwidth limitations, left you virtually with a text-based medium. So, but, you know, Dick, I was literally obsessed with passion at the time that the possibility of a thought journal was that close, that it could now work. And really, the only problem I saw to making the journal a reality was that the internet would need screaming video and imaging to really make the journal work. And most importantly, Dick, it would have to have, it would have to be capable of handling video conferencing, just like we're doing here today on Uvu. And that would really bring the human interfacing element together live and make the problem solving real time in a true multimedia experience. So part of the thought journal concept would be having people worldwide post their images and videos to bring these problems into a visual reality globally, and without the inventions that wasn't going to happen. So for example, the thought journal would use video cameras and cameras with virtual reality imaging and set them up in feeds in the rainforest to show deforestation, the damage it was causing, and bringing it to the user's desktop live, and whoever worldwide that logged in and had an idea, video, solution, image, any kind of concept could then post the idea in hopes that from individual minds coming together as one from diverse regions around the world, solutions would be faster than working separately and individually. So, as resources aren't indigenous to regions of the world and travel freely around the globe, it seemed imperative, Dick, to have the entire world working together as one planet with one set of resources, precious to everybody's survival, and everybody working together. So, the thought journal concept, for example, working to solve like the ozone holes, you could see that a child might add the thought of spray painting the hole closed, which would then lead to a scientist finding a mixture of ozone depleted elements to fill the hole that would lead to a rocket scientist creating rockets to deploy the mixture and then basically spray painting the hole closed as the child's concept originally predicted. And while that example might seem a little bit far-fetched, Dick, even absurd, it's just that kind of logic, that out-of-the-box thinking where new ideas are born. Now, compound that logic and the power of that by billions of minds across the globe working on a problem, and, the solutions seem endless. So I figured, Dick, if we could solve the video conferencing problem, we could truly introduce the children of the world to each other, and through this interaction, make it harder for them to, say, kill each other. And, if we could introduce them face to face, we could make them not only love one another, but make the children realize that we are one planet, one people, one set of resources, and we all depend on it together. So, I saw that if I could achieve bringing people together face to face like we are here today, through the internet, through teleconference, it would be a doorway, a path to possible world peace. And so that became a very important driving force to what I was doing. And at that same time, by the way, many of my insurance clients and companies that I was working with wanted to take their corporate presentations and put them on the internet. But again, without the inventions and due to the bandwidth limitations, CD-ROM video presentations or video, when you compressed it for the web, looked horrible. And because of the compression, they were again limited to text and cheesy GIF-type graphics with banner ads. So if you had a killer presentation with graphics and video created on a CD or film and went to put it on the web, the end result was more a horror show and did more harm to your actual product than was acceptable. So the fact that multimedia actually degraded the art or video is the real reason Bill Gates at that time gave Windows Media to Robert Glazer, who then went on to form Real Networks. And Gates didn't want to invest further in multimedia for the internet, and he didn't want it associated with his operating system since it looked so horrible. And I'm not sure if you can remember back then, but it was really bad. The Victoria's Supermodel launched by Real Player I called Super Goats, because you couldn't tell if it was a supermodel or a goat, and it was in this, microscopic little window. So, with video that way, nobody wanted to, put their products on the web other than, as a website with text and a few little, graphics. Of course, when Gates learned of my invention stick, he immediately reintroduced Media Player and then went on to compete with Real Networks in kind of a anti-competitive way by offering his player for free while Real Networks had to charge about $20 to stay in business. But either way, both companies' technologies use my backbone enabling inventions to drive their products.
Eliot, this is just an amazing story. Tell us about the team you discovered these inventions with and who was in on the ground floor of getting this going.
Well, Dick, that's a good question. The ground floor team was diverse, and it included me, Jude Rosario, who was a computer graphics student in Florida at the time, and Zacharul Shirazi, who was also a computer graphics student in Florida. And then there was Jim Armstrong, who was a childhood best friend since about the 5th grade, and he was a computer imaging aficionado with a financial background. And then there was my brother-in-law, Jeff Friedstein, who worked at Goldman Sachs, but has always been a geek, who helped invent, in fact, one of the inventions. And I took a patent application, actually, for it with him, which was for remote controlling cameras over networks, such as the Internet. And so, Jeff was there from day one, helping in the early raising of capital and clients for the Iviewit companies as well. And Jeff and my sister Lisa were also seed investors, at the ground floor. We had also an outstanding Florida photographer, Patty Daniels, and with her understanding of digital imaging, she did most of the original photography necessary to create the first, digital Zoom virtual reality worlds we created. And there was Matthew Mink. He was a video expert who took much of the first video that we used commercially to promote the concept on the web. And then there was my brother-in-law, Guy Iantoni, and my sister Jill, who were both at the ground floor, and both were initial investors who also worked for the Iviewit companies and helped make our early milestones realities. Guy, in fact, was our original crash test dummy, and whenever we thought we had perfected one of these inventions, We try him out on Guy, who was the novice in computers, and if it worked on him, it basically worked on anyone, and it was basically ready to roll out. But most importantly, Dick, is my wife Candace, who might be the real inventor, who without her help and her support and input, there wouldn't be inventions, as dreams are one thing and making them reality is another. And Candace was central in getting every single piece of the puzzle we needed, every piece of equipment, driving miles to stores, whatnot. And without that, these inventions would have never happened. Plus, she believed in us. And at every failure, she pushed us harder and fed us on to success.